Good morning, boys and girls, courageous boys and girls, men and women of God. We are still studying the life of David, and wow, does he have a crazy, crazy, crazy time, doesn't he? But he continues to be faithful and to God and a man of integrity. And today's story is no different than that. But today's story, someone else is going to be brave in it and courageous besides David. So let's open our Bibles to 1 Samuel 25. And 1 Samuel 25 starts out with the death of Samuel. He was the prophet, the man of God, and all of Israel listened to him. David listened to him, and he is an old man, and he has passed away. And David, in the meantime, had moved down to the wilderness of Maon. And there was a wealthy man from Maon who owned property near the town of Carmel. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and it was sheep shearing time. And this man's name was Nabal. And his wife, Abigail, was a sensible and beautiful woman. But Nabal, a descendant of Caleb, he was very crude and mean in all of his dealings. When David heard that Nabal was shearing his sheep, he sent 10 of his young men to Carmel with this message for Nabal. Peace and prosperity to you, your family, and everything you own. I am told that it is sheep shearing time. While your shepherds stayed among us near Carmel, we never harmed them, and nothing was ever stolen from them. Ask your own men, and they will tell you this is true. So would you be kind to us, since we have come at a time of celebration? They always had a big party at the end of the sheep shearing. Please share any provisions you might have on hand with us and with your friend David. David's young men gave this message to Nabal in David's name, and they waited for a reply. His men are still on the run. They really don't have property to grow crops and all that kind of thing. So it's very difficult for them to provide for themselves. And so they did a service for Nabal by protecting their sheep herders. So what do you think Nabal will say? Most people would say, come on and join the party, right? See what he says in verse 10. Who is this fellow David? Nabal sneered to the young men. Who does this son of Jesse think he is? There are lots of servants these days who run away from their masters. Should I take my bread and my water and my meat that I've slaughtered for my shearers and give it to a band of outlaws who come from who knows where? Now he probably, surely had heard about David. I mean, he did kill Goliath. I don't know. So David's young men returned and told him what Nabal had said. Get your swords, was David's reply. As he strapped on his own, the 400 men started off with David, and 200 remained behind to guard their equipment. So that means David's up to 600 men now. Meanwhile, one of Nabal's servants went to Abigail and told her, David sent messengers from the wilderness to greet our master, but he screamed insults at them. These men have been very good to us, and we never suffered any harm from them. Nothing was stolen from us the whole time they were with us. In fact, day and night, they were like a wall of protection to us and the sheep. So David not only controlled his men, they did not steal from them, but they also protected the sheep herders from other people and from wild animals. You need to know this and figure out what to do, for there is going to be trouble for our master and his whole family. He's so ill-tempered that no one can even talk to him. So because Nabal was so ill-tempered, this servant went to Abigail, to the wife, because she was known for her sensibility. So what do you think Abigail's going to do? She's going to be very, very brave and courageous. Listen to this. She wastes no time. She quickly gathers 200 loaves of bread, 2 wineskins full of wine, 5 sheep that had been slaughtered, nearly a bushel of roasted grain, 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 fig cakes. She packed them on donkeys and said to her servants, "Go on ahead, I will follow you shortly." But she did not tell her husband Nabal what she was doing. She was very brave, wasn't she? First, she was brave because she was doing something that her husband wouldn't approve of, but she did it because she knew it was the right thing to do. And number 2, she had to be brave and courageous to go to David, who she knows he's very angry and probably going to kill her husband and the whole family because of his horrible behavior. So she's very courageous. In verse 20, as she was riding her donkey into a mountain ravine, she saw David and his men coming toward her. David had just been saying, "A lot of good it did to help this fellow. We protected his flocks in the wilderness, and nothing he owned was lost or stolen, but he's repaid me evil for good. May God strike me and kill me if even one man of his household is still alive tomorrow morning." This is what David's saying. Eee. When Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed low before him. She fell at his feet and said, "I accept all blame in this matter, my lord. Please listen to what I have to say. I know Nabal is a wicked and ill-tempered man. Please don't pay any attention to him. He is a fool, just as his name suggests." The name Nabal actually meant fool. A fool is someone who doesn't have wisdom. Not too smart. "But I never even saw the young men you sent. Now, my lord, as surely as the Lord lives and you yourself live, since the Lord has kept you from murdering and taking vengeance into your own hands, let all your enemies and those who try to harm you be as cursed as Nabal. And here is a present that I, your servant, have brought to you and your young men. Please forgive me if I have offended you in any way. The Lord will surely reward you with a lasting dynasty, for you are fighting the Lord's battles, and you have not done wrong throughout your entire life. Even when you are chased by those who seek to kill you, your life is safe in the care of the Lord your God, secure in his treasure pouch. But the lives of your enemies will disappear like stones shot from a sling. When the Lord has done all he promised and has made you leader of Israel, don't let this be a blemish on your record. Then your conscience won't have to bear the staggering burden of needless bloodshed and vengeance. And when the Lord has done these great things for you, please remember me, your servant." Abigail gets wisdom from God. She recognizes that David is a man of God, and she also recognizes that David is a man of integrity, and that she honestly believes that this is not the best thing for him either, to have this murder on his hands and taking vengeance into his own hands, because David has never done that. He did not take vengeance against Saul into his own hands, did he? So she's very smart and she's very courageous to speak this way, and she's very humble, isn't she? David replied to Abigail in verse 32, "Praise the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you to me today. Thank God for your good sense. Bless you for keeping me from murder and from carrying out vengeance with my own hands. For I swear by the Lord, the God of Israel, who has kept me from hurting you, that if you had not hurried out to meet me, not one of Nabal's men would still be alive tomorrow morning." Then David accepted her present and told her, "Return home in peace. I have heard what you said. We will not kill your husband." So David was humble as well. He listened to a woman. At this time in history, women were not highly thought of. They were considered as just kind of like property. And he listened to Abigail. He listened. He knew that what she was saying had to have come from God because it resonated in his heart. Remember, he has a heart after God. So when Abigail gets home, Nabal's throwing this big party and he's celebrating like he's the king, and he's getting drunk, and so she doesn't want to tell him what she has done because he'll just be crazy angry. So in the morning when Nabal was sober, his wife told him what had happened, And he should be grateful and so thankful because he gets to live. Him and his family are not going to be killed by David's men. But look what happens. His wife, or Abigail, told him what had happened, and as a result, he had a stroke. His heart failed him. He got so upset, he had a stroke. And he lay paralyzed on his bed like a stone, and about 10 days later, he died. Which is a bad thing for a woman to be a widow in those days. Very difficult to take care of yourself. So when David heard that Nabal was dead, he sent messengers to Abigail to ask her to become his wife. He wanted to take care of her in return for her generosity. Plus, he also recognized a woman who was very sensible and listened to God as well. So when the messengers arrived at Carmel, they told Abigail, "David has sent us to take you back to marry him." She bowed low to the ground and responded, "I, your servant, would be happy to marry David. I would even be willing to become a slave, washing the feet of his servants." Quickly getting ready, she took along 5 of her servant girls as attendants, mounted her donkey, and went with David's messengers, and so she became his wife. Now, at this time in history, David's on the run. He's not living as the king, is he? He's living in caves and in the wilderness, and he's living on the run. But Abigail recognizes the integrity and David's heart, and she is very grateful and thankful for the opportunity to become his wife. And in the meantime, Saul has given his other wife, Micah, Saul's daughter, to another man. How weird is that, huh? So Abigail is the hero, the courageous person for today's story. And we can be like Abigail, even when there are people in our lives who are not doing right, we can still do the right thing. We can be brave and courageous to speak up against the wrong and to take right action always, even when it's very difficult. And in this case, it was very difficult. Anyway, I hope you have a magnificent, wonderful, courageous day. You guys are awesome, and I love you so much. Have an awesome, beautiful day. Bye for now. Oops.